Imagine starting your life over in a country where you don't even speak the language. Could you do it? Moving abroad isn't just about a change of scenery. It's actually a test of resilience, grit, and growth. What happens when you leave your home, your language, and your comfort zone? Growth happens like you could never imagine. You can judge that person for moving to your country and think that they're taking your jobs. But do you understand how brave they actually are? That person who doesn't speak English fluently that you are judging, do you understand that you are nowhere near the level of growth that they are going through?
Welcome to Life by 8, your blueprint for living the most extraordinary life. I am Rebecca Grugan, your life architect on this journey to designing your ultimate life. If you are ready to level up using values levels, understanding yourself with the energetic blueprint, our 8 pillars to human wellness framework, this is for you. You are in the right place, so let's go.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Life by 8. I'm your host Rebecca Grugan and today we're diving into one of the bravest decisions you can make in life. Moving to another country, building a life there, and doing it all in a new language. Sounds intimidating, right? Well, that's because it is. But it's also one of the most powerful acts of resilience and personal growth you can ever experience. And so today I'm going to talk about how moving abroad forces you to reinvent yourself, and not just in how you live, but in how you think, communicate, and face challenges. Because it's all part of the process of becoming who you're meant to be. And here in Australia, we are such a multicultural society. We have so many people who migrate to start their new life and to live in this space. And I work with a number of clients who have this experience. And so I want to show you whether you have been somebody who's lived abroad or who has migrated or hasn't, so you can actually recognize what people have to go through when they make this decision. Because the thing is that across the world right now, we have a lot of misplacement by war, and it's not by choice, but then we do also have a lot of people who choose to make the move. And so if you're considering the move or you've already taken the leap, you're in the right place. And so let's get into it. Let's start with the courage that it takes to move to a new country. Moving abroad isn't just about changing your surroundings. It's about completely reinventing your life. So even if you move to a country that speaks your native tongue, it's still a different culture. For example, here in Australia, the culture in Brisbane is different to the culture in Sydney, that is different to the culture in Melbourne, that is different to the culture that's out in a regional town like Bendigo or Toowoomba. These micro nuances and changes in culture impact you before language even becomes a part of it. And so you have to start from scratch. You leave behind your familiar environment, your friends, your family, and your career. Everything you thought you knew becomes foreign. And yet that's where the magic lies. Reinvention isn't a small thing. It is a process of rebuilding yourself from the inside out. Whether you are choosing this or not, this is what's required. And so as a side note here, for those of you who haven't ever experienced this, I hope that this episode brings to you some more understanding and compassion for those who are going through this. Because when you take this leap, you are forced to adapt, to stretch your limits, and to learn things in ways that would have been impossible had you stayed in that comfort zone and stayed with what you knew. And in some parts, you've had to change because if you stayed what you knew, you'd be killed. It can be a matter of life and death in places. But the thing is when it's by choice, it's also recognizing and remembering that you chose this, but you are completely valuable and worthy of who you are, even if you're doing it all in a different language. Because you see, for many, that's one of the hardest parts. And it's also the key to your growth. You see, the emotional resilience required to live in a country where you don't speak the language fluently, it's next level. It's like a crash course in personal transformation. Why? Because you can't hide from the challenge. You actually have to face it head on. And it forces you to build your emotional resilience every single day. Whether it's ordering food, or navigating a new transportation system, or simply having a conversation, you're constantly putting yourself out there in a way that is vulnerable and real. And that is the heart of reinventing yourself. And that is why those who have migrated to a different country, that is why I believe it is the bravest thing you can ever do. Yet, sometimes it gets undermined. And I want to use the early childhood sector as an example here. Many people who are working in early childhood or in a, career that has a visa that can be attached to it, they get treated lesser than by society. Do you know how many people who are working in early childhood who have bachelors in engineering, who have masters in linguistics, who have medical degrees, but to be able to migrate to a country that is safer than theirs, those degrees are not being recognized, and they're having to work in other industries, under other sectors, and people don't see this. And so I'm wanting to bring to light the incredible impact and how lucky we are here in Australia as a country, as I believe in other parts of the world, that when we come together from all across the globe, when we have people migrate to our country and we choose to see the value in which it brings, and we start to see the other humans for the humans they are, they get to start remembering who they are. And as they go through this reinvention process, they are supported and cheered on instead of feeling isolated and alone. And so let's talk about the power of language. NLP, language is more than just the words. It is your body language. The words you use are only 7% of what makes up an interaction. But language, it is a bridge to understanding culture and building relationships and a common theme, a common thread. It helps you express your true self. But when you move to a country where you don't speak the language, it's like you're living behind a veil. Your ability to express yourself is limited, and that can be frustrating. You can use, nuances and phrases and jokes that you get one word wrong and it doesn't make any sense, and you feel like nobody gets you, but all you're wanting to do is relate. And so yes, it can be frustrating, but here's the thing. Learning a new language and embracing the discomfort that comes with this is one of the most empowering things you can do for your personal growth. It is an exercise in patience, humility, and resilience. It teaches you that it's okay to be imperfect and it's okay to make mistakes. And that's how you grow. Think about it. When you are speaking a new language, you're not just learning new words, you're learning how to think differently. And that's why NLP is so global, is because NLP is about how you think. Because you're getting outside of your own perspective and you're embracing the new world, your new world, through a new lens. And every time you struggle to communicate and push through it, you're reinventing who you are and how you connect with that world. And this process teaches you that failure is just part of the journey. And with every failure, you are taking a step closer to mastery of self, mastery of being a human. And that's true resilience. It is why I'm a massive advocate for travel, for taking children on your travels to different places, spaces, different countries that speak different languages, because that is true resilience. You can learn resilience without having to go through trauma. But I want more people to understand that when you have people around you, whether it's colleagues, employees, whether it's friends, whether it's strangers you meet out, remember how fucking brave they are for what they are going through and what they are doing. And cheer them on instead of judge them. And allow yourself, if you're never going to live in other countries, allow yourself that when you do travel, have a go at experiencing learning that language of the country you're going to, even if it's the basics, because it helps you have compassion and empathy for those who are now doing that in their full-time lives. Because you can go to Italy like I did earlier in the year, and there are places where they only speak Italian, especially in the regional, rural areas. And so having to force myself to make sense of what is being said, but also to have basic words, was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I don't have the privilege, because I haven't put the time in, because I know how much time and work is required. I don't have the privilege of speaking any language other than English. And no, Aussie slang doesn't count. English is all that I know. And so there are people out there who have 2, 3, 5, 7 different languages because of their experiences, because of their cultures. And they are people I look up to. Because the thing is that resilience, that reinvention, it is about shedding the old and stepping into the new. It's about embracing the change, even when it feels overwhelming, and trusting that the discomfort will lead to growth. Moving abroad and learning the new language, it forces you to ask yourself big questions. Like, who am I without the labels of home? What does my identity look like in this new space? It challenges you. It challenges your sense of self and forces you to get clearer on your values. And there are more people who have never gone to a foreign country who don't do this. And if they did do this, if they went through this identity change, this shift, even if you didn't learn a new language, that is where life is. That is where the next level is. It's just when you're in a foreign country and you can't express yourself the way you're used to, you realize something powerful, that you are more than just your words. You are your actions, your resilience, and your willingness to learn and grow. The discomfort of not understanding everything around you becomes a tool for growth. It teaches you that your mindset and attitude matter more than anything else. And as you push through these uncomfortable moments, something incredible happens. You start to see your own strength. Your confidence grows because you've faced something big and lived through it. And the reason I acknowledge this with the work that I do in early childhood, in Life by 8 coaching, I have clients who live across the world. I acknowledge this because the thing is that you may be in a place where you feel lesser than, where the society judges you for being there and you feel like they don't want you there. And I want you to remember that that is not everybody's belief. It may feel like it, but it's not the full truth. And I want more people who have never experienced this to realize what it takes for those people who are experiencing it. And your responsibility to have compassion and to question what you think to be true. So if you think that people are moving to your country to steal your jobs, how is that your projection? Are you actually willing to do the work? Are you aware of how shit your work ethic is? Because you grew up in comfort. You don't actually know what it means to work hard. And these people, these beautiful humans who come from different countries where they had to work hard to survive, they're willing to do the work that you're not. And then you're judging them on that they're here to take your jobs, and they're taking the jobs that you don't even fucking want to do. It is more than what it means for you. This is about humanity. It is about people seeing people for who they truly are. And people who go through this experience, they get to learn to trust themselves more deeply than ever before. And if this episode does anything for you listening, I want you to know how brave I think you are, how brave I know that you are, and that you are never on your own, even if it feels like you are. You are reinventing who you are, not just in the eyes of the world around you, but in your own eyes. And this is something that many people around you will never understand. And so what does this all lead to? Why does this matter? What's the long-term impact of moving abroad and reinventing yourself through language, a new one? The biggest reward? is resilience. You learn how to bounce back from challenges and to adapt to new circumstances. Do you know how many people in the education system are trying to teach children resilience, grit, and are failing? Because the thing is, this growth only comes in the uncomfort. Comfort is killing us as a species. The reason ice baths, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but the reason ice baths are trending is because people are trying to force themselves to get uncomfortable because it's where growth is. But for those of you who have migrated to a different country, you have become someone who isn't afraid to take risks. You get to step into the discomfort and you make things happen. No matter where you are or what language you are speaking, that resilience is changing lives and it's having a ripple effect on those around you. So even in those moments when you feel like you are on your own and nobody understands you, know that you are not alone. It's not just about surviving. This gets to be about thriving. Whether the move is a choice you made or something that you've had to do for survival, know that it is about thriving. You don't have to just survive anymore. And so over time, you will find that these challenges that you are facing in the foreign country that you're living, learning the new language and adapting to the new culture, that they are no longer challenges and that they're actually opportunities for that personal mastery. You start to see failure differently, not as something to avoid, but as an opportunity to learn and grow. And this is the magic, right? Is that you get to see things in ways that others will never understand. And at times you may think you're broken and that you are the problem, but it's actually because you see the world in a different way. You see the world in the way that people who haven't experienced this will never be able to experience. So thank you for you doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is raising the collective consciousness of humanity, because we need resilience for growth. And this living abroad, this is a crash course in reinvention. It's an invitation to reinvent your life, your values, and the way you approach the world. And know that when you do that, you impact the people around you. Because it's a lifelong lesson in adaptability, in curiosity, and emotional resilience, skills that serve you for the rest of your life. But I also want you to know that it may be serving you, but at the same time, it is serving humanity as a whole. And I'm so grateful for you and for what you are doing. And so if this is something that you've considered moving abroad, or you've already taken the leap, I want to remind you, this is the bravest thing you can do. You're not just moving to a new country. You are moving towards a new version of yourself. You are embracing the discomfort and learning to reinvent who you are in the face of challenges. And so if you're in the middle of your own reinvention journey, remember, resilience gets to be your superpower. And embrace the process. Trust the discomfort. And know that the rewards are worth every step. And until next time, keep growing, keep learning, keep reinventing yourself. And thank you for not just changing your world, but mine too. Thank you for being here.